I'm going to call this meeting to order. Order, please. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the meeting of the Committee of Public Accounts. My name is Susan LeBlanc, and I am the MLA for Dartmouth North, and I am the chair of this committee. This is the first time I've chaired this committee. Therefore, I ask for your indulgence. There's a lot to do today, a lot to talk about, and I hope that it stays on track. But I am very happy to be here. I'm very happy that this committee is here and reformed. And I just want to do a couple of reminders before we start. So first of all, make sure your phones are on silent, please. And if there is a need to leave the building, please exit through the doors onto Granville Street, those ones, and then we will gather at the Grand Parade. So before we get any further, I'm going to ask all members to introduce themselves, all the committee members, and when you do, please say your name, the constituency you represent, and the pronouns that you use. So we'll start with my member here, please, or the member here.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Marco McLeod, and I'm MLA for Pictou West. And for pronouns, he, him. Thank you.
And I'm Brad McGowan. I'm the MLA for Cole Harbour Dartmouth, and as well, the pronouns are he, him.
Hi there, Tom Taggart, MLA for Colchester North. I'm Tom.
Hi, Bedford Basin, he, him, Tom, hey, you. I get them all.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Derek Mumbercut, the MLA for Sydney, member 2. Pronouns are he, him.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lachance, the MLA for Halifax, Citadel, Sable Island, and my pronouns are they and them.
Hi, my name is Diane Timmons. I am MLA for Victoria the Lakes, and my pronouns are she, her.
Great, and I didn't mention that my pronouns are she, her. So I'd also like to note that there are officials from the Auditor General's office here. The Auditor General is here. Welcome. And also in attendance are officials from the Legislative Council office and Legislative Committee's office. So, as I said before, this is the first meeting of the newly constituted Public Accounts Committee, and we're calling this our organizational meeting. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things, and there will be time after sort of each section for discussion. I will, ask for members' input on a number of things. A brief overview of committee procedures will be provided, and a number of decisions have to be made today. So the first thing on the agenda is committee business, and it's the review of committee procedures. So the clerk, Ms. Langell, am I supposed to let you folks introduce yourselves? Okay. Sorry. The clerk distributed a package of reference information to everybody. The mandate of the committee states that the Public Accounts Committee is established for the purpose of reviewing the public accounts, the annual report or other report of the Auditor General, and any other financial matters respecting the public funds of the province, per Section 62B of the Rules and Forms of Procedure of the House of Assembly. So that's our mandate, and we will read that at the beginning of every meeting to remind us why we are here. The Public Accounts Committee has been meeting weekly on Wednesdays from 9 to 11 a.m. Meetings of the Public Accounts Committee are televised and live streamed and are open to the public to attend, and transcripts are also available, produced and available. Our microphones, with I think the exception of mine, are operated remotely by Ledge TV. So I will recognize members before you speak, and also the witnesses who are here in attendance. You do not have to touch your microphones. So I will recognize you. Let's just have an example. MLA McLeod, and then MLA McLeod's microphone will turn on remotely, and then MLA McLeod, when he's finished speaking, the microphone turns off. So wait for the red light to come on before you speak to ensure that your comments are captured for the record. Oops, and try not to do what I just did, which is bang the microphone with your papers, because it hurts the ears of the people at Ledge TV. In addition to the committee clerk, committee offices, committee's office, and legislative staff, the Auditor General and Legislative Council also attend the meetings of the committee. The Auditor General and Legislative Council will be provided with an opportunity to comment on their roles relative to the committee. Legislative Council, would you like to say anything about your role at the committee? Mr. Hebb.
My role is limited. Unlike our title, Legislative Council, we are the legal advisors or the parliamentary counsel for the committee, and we're here to provide legal advice and support the chair and the committee, and we can provide advice to individual members if need be. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Yeah, sometimes we will have a question. We don't know what what the procedure is for something, and we will refer to the question to Legislative Council. Madam Auditor General, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your role?
Sure. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim Adair, Auditor General. And like the chair, I'm very pleased to meet the new committee this morning and to get underway. I just going to take you through a few things so that everyone has the context and an understanding about the working relationship of my office with the Public Accounts Committee. It's an extremely important relationship. I am an independent officer of the House of Assembly. I report to all 55 MLAs, but I guess I'm accountable to all 55 members of the House, but I have a direct reporting relationship to this committee. And it is embedded in the Auditor General Act, and I'll just read for you that section of the Act, which kind of describes the relationship. And it's Section 17.2 of the AG Act, and it says, at the request of the Public Accounts Committee, the Auditor General and employees of the office shall attend meetings of the committee or its subcommittees in order to assist the committee in planning its agenda for review of reports from my office, assist the committee in its review of the reports of the office, advise the committee with respect to any committee activities, and discuss the plans and performance of my office. So essentially, it's an advisory capacity. We're here to support you, to facilitate the committee and the work of the committee in meeting its overall objective as the chair raised at the start of the meeting. Also in our strategic plan, we have a number of strategic objectives, but one of them is to collaborate with the Public Accounts Committee to advance its effectiveness in holding government accountable. We have a performance indicator that we put in our annual report, our performance report. We have a target that is to have at least 80% or higher MLA satisfaction on our work. So from time to time, we survey the members of the Public Accounts Committee as well as the other MLAs. And in our last reported result, that was at 92%. So it's very important to us that we are meeting your needs and satisfying what you're asking of us in our role to support the work of this committee. A bit of what's coming up from my office, we have about 8 to 9 AG reports, I would say between February 11th, I think, is the first one up, the finance report, and looking to the end of December, our plan is about 8 to 9 reports. Each time I table a report, the day following, generally, we have an in-camera briefing with the committee. So right there, that's, and then after that, there's a public meeting. So that's 16 meetings. So you're going to see a lot of me. And the in-camera briefings that we have, the purpose of that is to familiarize yourselves with the contents of our report, the recommendations, and to prepare you for the public meeting when the deputy ministers of the department responsible are here before the committee as witnesses. So that's an important aspect of what we do for the committee. We also have a role with on the subcommittee. I typically attend subcommittee meetings, work with the members in setting the agenda and picking the non-AG topics, so we call them other topics, non-audit topics. And I'm sure as the day goes ahead, you'll learn more about that. So maybe I'll stop at that, but I guess the idea is that it's an extremely important relationship to me personally. I take it, I guess, upon myself to really encourage the committee and do training in terms of best practice in being a nonpartisan committee, which is what PAC is intended to be. And there's going to be a training discussed here later too. So I guess I'll stop at that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And just FYI, I have already skipped part of the agenda, and I skipped to another part of the agenda. So we've heard from Legislative Counsel and the Auditor General. We were supposed to do that later. It doesn't really matter. But if there are questions for either, we'll come back to that in a bit. As well, the Legislative Library prepares a research briefing for members to aid in their preparation for meetings. This document is provided to members in electronic format along with the meeting notice. Today, if you look, you've been provided with a sheet that looks like this, and that is just a little précis of you know, the what the research briefings are and how we can use them. So thank you to the legislative librarians who put that together. Okay, witnesses who appear before the Public Accounts Committee are provided an opportunity to make brief remarks prior to the question and answer period at the close of the questioning. Depending on how many witnesses we choose and who's coming to the meeting, their amounts of time will be allotted sort of based on that, because we don't want to. We want to have lots of time to question witnesses but also to hear from them, like hear the information we need from them. So we will sort of, that will be an ongoing kind of day by day on how much time people get, but they will be sort of provided that information in advance. And then during a regular PAC meeting, an equal amount of time is allotted to each caucus to allow questions during the question period. So there's 2 rounds of questioning generally. The first round is 20 minutes, and then the second round is around 10 to 14 minutes, depending on how much time there is, how much committee business we have to get through, how many witnesses there are, and that kind of thing. Generally, the order of questioning goes, the official opposition goes first, then the third party, and then the governing party. And all questions are to be directed through the chair. At public accounts, there's no notice required to introduce a motion. However, if members are intending to make a motion at a meeting, it's helpful if it's emailed to the clerk. When the motion is put forward at the meeting, then the clerk will distribute it via email to the members. This is not required, but it is a practice that we've sort of been using so that everyone has a chance to see a written motion in front of them before voting on it. And sometimes you know that you're going to introduce a motion well in advance, and that can be distributed well in advance of the meeting. Also, if members are reading from a document that has not already been provided to the committee, it needs to be tabled. A copy can be provided at the meeting, or it can be emailed to the clerk. The Public Accounts Committee has a subcommittee on agenda and procedures, which meets in camera at the call of the chair to propose topics to go forward to the full committee for approval. It also reviews the committee's annual report, monitors committee work, reviews sensitive documents and other such responsibilities as deemed necessary. The subcommittee is established by the full committee, and the establishment of that subcommittee is later on today's agenda. So if you are dying to be on the subcommittee, give that a bit of a thought right now. Reports of the Auditor General. Oh, yes. So we already know that the Auditor General informs the committee of the release dates for upcoming reports via the clerk, and we do have a list of those upcoming ones that everyone's been provided with today. The committee meets with the Auditor General on the Wednesday after a report is released. This this meeting is held in camera, and the members are briefed, as the Auditor General has told us. And then the week following the meeting with the Auditor General, the witnesses are called in relation to that report for a public meeting. This all seems possibly like very confusing and kind of gobbledygooky, so, but it will become clear once we get our stride. What's that? Yeah, I did that. Great. So I think that's it. Yeah, we want to now, okay, first of all, actually, before we move on, are there any questions about anything that has been discussed thus far? Okay, great. So we're going to move on then to the Subcommittee on Agendas and Procedures, and we're going to establish that committee. So the Public Accounts Committee has traditionally established a subcommittee on agenda and procedures, which conducts agenda setting. Decisions of the subcommittee then go forward to the full committee for approval. The subcommittee has consisted of the chair, me, the vice chair, MLA McLeod, and a member of the third party. In recent years, a member of the official opposition has also been named to the subcommittee, with the chair being non-voting. So lately, the latest form of the subcommittee has been the chair, the vice chair, a member of the official opposition, and a member of the third party. And in that case, the chair does not vote. So we need to establish that committee. Yeah. So I guess I need to call for a motion to establish the committee. Does anyone have a motion that they can put forward to establish the subcommittee with members? Mr. McLeod, MLA McLeod.
Good morning. I'll put forward a motion to establish the subcommittee.
Can you further that motion by describing the makeup of the committee, which is the little, oh no, you don't have this, but made up of the chair, the vice chair, a member of the third party, and a member of the official opposition?
Absolutely. And that subcommittee will be consisted of the chair, the vice chair, a member of the third party, and the official opposition.
Thank you. And is there any discussion on that motion? One moment, Emily Taggart. And we should also, we need to hear from Emily Mumbercat as to which member of the third party will be sitting on the vice of the, on the subcommittee.
Thank you, Chair. It will be MLA Mumbercat sitting on the committee.
Thank you. So let me just put this, clarify the motion will be the chair, MLA LeBlanc, the vice chair, MLA McLeod, member of the official opposition, MLA Lachance, and MLA Mumbercat. That would make up the subcommittee. Emily Taggart.
Thanks, Chair. I think there should maybe possibly be an amendment in there that says that the chair is non-voting. Because we said in the motion, it said chair, vice chair, and two others, right? So.
Do you want to put that amendment forward?
Yeah, I don't know the proper wording, but I would like to put forward an amendment that says that in that committee that the chair is a non-voting member.
Thanks for that amendment. I don't know. No. We do not. So we're going to vote on the amendment, which is to make sure that the chair is non-voting. So all in favor of that amendment? Aye. Anyone opposed? So that amendment passes, and so now we will vote on, unless there's any other discussion, we'll vote on the amended motion, which is, I don't think I need to repeat it again. All in favor of the amended motion? Aye. Anyone against? Okay, so the subcommittee has been established. Just for members' information, generally, when we're voting, the motions do not need a second person to a seconder, but I admire your moxie and your energy. Also, the chair does have a vote in regular motions, and the chair has a second vote if there's a tie. Great, thank you very much for that. So now we have to look at our meeting schedule. So, as mentioned earlier, the Public Accounts Committee generally meets Wednesdays from 9 to 11 a.m. Is there any discussion about that meeting time? Excellent, so we will just continue that plan, that meeting time. So there are a number of upcoming Auditor General reports. If you look at this page here, this has a number of the reports coming up, so we'll refer to that. The Auditor General will be releasing reports in the coming weeks and months. So if you look at this list, February 11th is the 2025 report, the financial report. March 4th is the report on funding to universities, and April 15th is the follow-up reports of the 2020, 2021, and 2022 performance audits. The chair, that's me, will be calling a subcommittee meeting next week to review the suggested witnesses for these reports as provided by the Auditor General. Do I have to do that right now? That's all I just have to, that's just for information. Okay, so the subcommittee, all you lucky folks, will meet next week, and we will discuss how we're going to move forward with the committee agenda. Emily Mumbercat.
Sorry if I missed this. Did we choose a day we meet at the subcommittee yet? No. Okay.
So the chair calls the meetings of the subcommittee, but generally I think we're going to try to do them directly following public accounts meetings. So I believe next week it will be at 11 o'clock, but we'll confirm that. Okay. Next, we want to talk about training. So the public accounts Emily McLeod.
Yeah, I thought maybe we could use this opportunity to talk about scheduling for meetings. So the previous Public Accounts Committee set a precedent, and with respect to the fine work they did, this is a new group, a different group. We have many new members, and so it's nice that we're mentioning training because we will definitely take advantage of that. We understand the importance of a functional, effective Public Accounts Committee for jurisdictions all across this country. So I'd like to request, if it's possible, a jurisdictional scan to be conducted to see how other Public Accounts Committees are done. Okay? And as Vice Chair, we would be comfortable with revisiting the topic of frequency of these meetings after that scan is completed. Do I need to put forward a motion to make that happen? If we agree.
Why don't you make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Okay,
so there can
thank
be discussion. Go ahead, Emily McLeod.
I move that the Public Accounts Committee defer voting on a meeting schedule until such time as a jurisdictional scan be completed regarding the standard schedules of other Canadian Public Accounts Committees.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, and who will make that? Who will do that jurisdictional scan? Can we ask the Legislative Library to do it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's vote on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone against? Okay, so the motion is carried. We will address, I think some of this will be addressed when we do training with the CAF, but anyway, we'll make sure it happens, and it may be covered as we go through the meeting. Okay, so training. So the Public Accounts Committee functions differently than other legislative committees, as it does in legislatures across the country and across the Commonwealth. It is a bipartisan committee where all the members are working we don't comment on the merits of policy, but rather the implementation of policy. So the policy is set at a totally different level. When we ask questions of the witnesses, it's not about what they think of a policy or if a policy is good or bad. It's how the policy that's been determined by the government in power or the government of the day is being implemented. So that is very different than the other committees. And often it's difficult to get one's head around that when we're asking questions. And so this is why training for the Public Accounts Committee is particularly important. Also, of course, we do look at the public accounts, which if you're not an accountant, can be somewhat new for people. It can be, looking at all those numbers can be a new experience. And so there's a number of trainings that we would like to propose. So the Finance Department has provided, Okay, yeah. So the first one is an orientation session with the Auditor General's office. Last time the committee was struck, there was an orientation session provided by the Auditor General. And so I'd like to propose that we do that again. It was very helpful the last time. And so the proposed date for that orientation meeting is February 12th. I wonder if the Auditor General would like to make any general comments about that orientation session, and then we can open the floor up for discussion. Ms. Adair?
The date works fine. I plan to bring my senior leadership team to give you an introduction to everyone that's involved sort of behind the scenes and will appear from time to time. We're all set to present to you all of the details of further to what I've already said this morning about the inner functioning of the office, the size of the office, the performance audits that we have slated to come in the coming year. And we're looking forward to doing it. So.
Is there any discussion about that date for the orientation from the Auditor General's office? Okay, so we'll say February 12th. Thank you. Next, the Department of Finance has generously and offered to provide some training on the sort of the reading of the public accounts. This has happened in every iteration of the committee that I've been on, and it's very helpful. So they were thinking, and we were thinking, that it would be helpful for them to come and hold a session before we look at the Auditor General's financial report. So that report is being released on February 11th to the public. So I'm proposing that the date for the training with the Department of Finance is February 5th. Which is next meeting. Yeah, next week's meeting. And that would be in camera. So we can ask all the questions we need to ask. Is there any discussion on that training from the Department of Finance on February 5th? Okay, great. We'll call it that then. And thirdly, the Canadian Audit and Accountability Foundation has a lot of resources available for public accounts committee members, and they're very willing to come. Sometimes it's online, sometimes it's in person, but to hold trainings for public accounts committees. So I believe in an email we got information and a letter of welcome from the CAF to members. And we would like to propose, or I would like to propose, that we contact the CAF for some training which they have provided to previous public accounts committees. So I'd like to open the floor for discussion on that. And actually, I will begin the discussion. I will say that in my time on the Public Accounts Committee, I think that I've been part of 2 or 3 trainings here in Nova Scotia, and then also I've sort of seen presentations by the CAAF at the various annual conferences of public accounts committees, and they're excellent. So again, they're usually made up of, well, generally, when my experience has been retired politicians who have sat on public accounts committees in their elected life. Usually, they bring a nonpartisan group. So, last time we had Kevin Sorensen, who had been a member of the Federal Conservatives, and David Christofferson, who was a member of the Federal NDP, and the two of them were really excellent. And so we can learn a lot from them, and I think that I have really appreciated the trainings, and I highly recommend it. MLA Taggart.
I just want to say that I participated in one of those. It's a great information. It really is. So I support it fully.
Emily McLeod.
I also agree with that sentiment. This committee should be effective, and the best way to be effective is to know what we're doing and to stay on track. So yeah, absolutely. Let's take this opportunity to get some training.
I don't have a date for that yet.
Great. So we don't have a date yet for that, but now that Ms. Adair.
I just want to, for planning purposes, get a sense for the length of time you'd like for that training session to be. Mr. Taggart mentioned the last time it was 2 half-day sessions. Would you be interested in something similar to that, or do you want it only to be the 2-hour window during a regular pack day? I just wanted to open that up for discussion so that we can plan it accordingly.
Emily Taggart?
I don't believe 2 hours is really enough to really get a real solid feel for that. It will create a lot of questions, and I just think that 2 half days would be well used if we decide to go that way. Yep.
2 half days. MLA Taggart?
Do you want a motion? For discussion, I'll put out a motion that we have CAAF training similar to we had last year. It was 2 sessions, I don't know the time. I don't think it's required. Two. I'm going to call them half-day sessions, whatever they believe is appropriate.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that, or is that just helpful for the Auditor General? I don't think we need to vote on that. But great. Thank you for your input. Did you have your hand up? Okay, great. So somebody will contact CAF and we'll figure that out. That's great. Okay. Oh my gosh. Are we actually at the end? Great. Well done.
I do have a clarifying question with regard to the motion that was passed about
Okay. Yes, the clerk has asked me to clarify, until the jurisdictional scan is complete, I think that we will continue to meet on Wednesdays between 9 and 11 until there is a motion to change that. Does that make sense with everyone? Mr. McLeod, Emily McLeod?
Yeah, absolutely. I think before we make a decision, it'll be important to be informed in order to make the right decision.
Okay, thank you very much. So great. Thank you very much to everyone. The next meeting date will be next Wednesday, February 5th, and that will be an in-camera meeting with the Department of Finance for some training on how to read the public accounts. Emily McLeod.
I do have one a speaking point here about a motion I'd like to put forward. Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been lucky enough to spend 2 seasons on the back of a fishing boat and we have a serious issue here in this province, especially on the Southwest Shore. The federal Liberal government has consistently failed to deliver on its legislated requirement to address the issue of illegal fishing. So in September of this past year, the Premier wrote a letter to the Federal Minister of Fisheries and Oceans requesting increased enforcement and officers to help address this issue. And the department's response did not validate those concerns and offered no clarification as to when the Department of Fisheries and Oceans would take action. So the circumstances that have transpired have caused significant damage to our province and even endangering the lives of the individuals involved and threatening their livelihoods. And our provincial department has worked diligently to advocate for more support, and it's fallen on deaf ears. So for this reason, I'd like to make the following motion. Whereas Nova Scotia's fishing industry is one of the most significant economic drivers of our province, and whereas the federal government has failed to effectively address this issue, I move that the Public Accounts Committee schedule a meeting titled "The Financial Impacts of Illegal Fishing on Nova Scotia's Southwestern Shore," with witnesses including Tim Kerr, Director of Conservation and Protection in the Maritimes, Fisheries and Oceans Canada; Doug Wenzel, Associate Regional Director General, Fisheries and Oceans Canada; and finally, a representative for the Nova Scotia Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I open it up for discussion, I will say that normally we would set our agenda in an agenda setting meeting with the aforeformed subcommittee. So this would be out of the ordinary, making this motion and passing it in this meeting, but I will open it up for discussion. So MLA Lachance.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I mean, clearly it's a critical issue, but when I look at the mandate of the Public Accounts Committee, this is about sort of, it's often a backwards-looking committee. So I think it's more an appropriate topic for another committee like Natural Resources and Economic Development, because in those committees, you're better able to move outside of what's already happened to and I think also public accounts is what has financially happened. So I don't think this falls under the mandate at all, but I think that natural resources and economic development would be. And I would also I assume you have that's a long motion, so it would be great if they can be circulated ahead of time so we have a chance to read them. So, I know that's something that members of the government have requested several times from us, and so I'd like the same courtesy.
Thank you, MLA Lachance. MLA Marmarket.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't disagree with the motion. It's just a question of, in your motion, you didn't mention natural resources, which the enforcement comes from. Maybe I missed that in the motion, but I guess it was a procedural thing. I completely understand what the member's trying to do. I'm trying to determine whether this was the right committee for it or Natural Resources Committee, one of the other committees as well. So you have a motion here. It may pass, most likely, but if it does, I would just ensure that Natural Resources is part of that.
Thank you, MLA Marmarket. MLA McLeod.
Thank you guys for your insight. I appreciate that. If I read here about public accounts, financial matters respecting the public funds of the province, and I would argue that due to the shortcomings of the federal department involved, the provincial government has had additional expenditures looking backwards where we've had to ramp up, the province has had to ramp up operations at the expense of the taxpayer. So that would be my argument and the reason to put that forward.
One moment. Emily McLeod, MLA Mombercat suggested adding a witness from the Department of Natural Resources. Is that either MLA Mombercat, you can propose that amendment if you like. I guess we should get that on the record as an amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move an amendment to the motion to also add the Department of Natural Resources to the conversation.
Is there any discussion on that amendment? All in favor of that amendment? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so that is amended, and now MLA LaChance.
Thank you. And so I don't doubt that there's been expenditures related to both program support as well as just the simple act of advocating on behalf of the province. But will those, I guess I query whether that would actually be available to review. I think, again, that sort of forward-looking policy discussion, as far as I'm concerned, is better at other committees or addressed through, legislation or debate in the House. But I'm not sure it's best served under the mandate of this committee. Like, I don't know if those witnesses will come forward, especially because it's ongoing, with the financial information and program information that we would normally review in this committee.
Thank you, MLA LaChance. Is there any other discussion on the motion, on the amended motion? Okay, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the amended motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so the motion passes. So I guess I will ask the clerk to look to schedule that meeting in due time. Great. If there is no further business, then I will adjourn the meeting. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.